This week in Chapter 3, we began talking about how employers value work. We distinguished between the actual content of a job, for example, completing a specific task, like building a widget, and the value of that work, meaning the actual value the employee is producing for the company. We talked about two different ways to value a job: use value and exchange value. Use value is the value of the goods or services an employee produces. So if I build 20 widgets an hour at a value of 50 cents a piece, my use value would be $10 an hour. But let's talk about exchange value. Exchange value is the actual wage agreed upon between an employee and employer. So my use value may be $10 an hour, but probably because I didn't know the use value, my employer and I may have settled on $8.50 an hour. In this video, I would like to explore the biggest reason why use value and exchange value are typically never the same. It all boils down to supply and demand. For our first example, I'd like to introduce Sally. Hello, Sally. Sally is a carpenter in Santa Rosa, California. It's the springtime of 2017, and Sally makes a healthy wage at $26 an hour, which provides her small family with a good middle-income lifestyle. Fast forward a couple months. What happens?
We are heading into another difficult day in California where they're dealing with the deadliest wildfires in state history. In the state,
as many of us remember, the state of California experienced devastating wildfires during the late summer and early fall of 2017. Because there are not enough builders and carpenters to keep up with the rebuilding demands now, Sally gets flooded with more and more business, and each person offers her more money than the one before to hopefully get her help in rebuilding their home. Sally's exchange value has jumped up to $44 an hour. In response to all of the building demand, more and more people work to get certified so they can take advantage of what is now a great paying profession. With the addition of hundreds and then thousands of more carpenters, Sally's phone calls begin to get less and less. Eventually, after several years, the supply and demand begin to level out, and the exchange value for a carpenter is back to about $26 an hour. This is an extreme example, but it happens all of the time with different circumstances. As a compensation professional, it becomes very difficult to determine how to respond to these types of situations. Let's look at another example. Meet Cindy. It's 2020, and Cindy is a student who is still trying to figure out what she wants to be when she grows up. One day, Cindy stumbles upon a newspaper ad. According to a 2015 report by Georgetown University about nursing supply and demand through 2020, by the year 2020, the United States will be facing a shortage of nearly 200,000 nurses. So what does that do to the exchange value for this position? You guessed it, up, up, up. So what do you think Cindy decided to do? You guessed it. In 2024, Cindy graduates as a registered nurse. Look how proud she is. I bet Cindy goes on to help a lot of people in need. I have an idea. Since I have some magic time-traveling multimedia producers helping me with this video, let's fast forward to 2026 to see how Cindy is doing. Wow, Cindy is really busy. Boy, they weren't kidding about that nurse shortage. I hope Cindy gets some help soon. Oh wait, it looks like she is getting some help. Wait a second, Cindy is getting a lot more help. Gee whiz, I guess a lot of people were reading that newspaper the same day Cindy was. In fact, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in the year 2030, the projected growth of supply for registered nurses is expected to exceed the growth in demand, resulting in an oversupply of almost 300,000 registered nurses at the national level. Given what we know about use value and exchange value, what can we expect? You guessed it. The starting wage for registered nurses will be much lower now because there are a lot of them and employers don't have to compete as much for talent. Let's wrap up with one last question about use value and exchange value. Can you think of any time where exchange value would be more than use value? Back to my widget example. If I build 20 widgets an hour at 50 cents a piece, that means my use value would be $10 an hour. Let's say the demand shoots way up for my position, which is an assembler. Would my employer begin to pay me, say, $12 an hour? Think about that for a second. My use value is $10 and my exchange value is $12. No, At that point, the employer is losing money. They are paying me more than what my use value is. This is what the theory of marginal productivity claims. The theory of marginal productivity says that employers pay use value because unless an employee can produce a value equal to the value received in wages, it will not be worthwhile to hire them. I hope this video was helpful in explaining the concepts we discussed in Chapter 3. Keep in mind there are many additional ways that compensation can be impacted. For example, what is going on at a regional or local economy level has a big impact as well. I guess what I'm trying to say is, please don't go and scare any of your friends that may be going into nursing school based on what you learned in this video. Thank you.